Hey guys, happy Saturday. It's Joe. It's time for Puck It with Joe. My God, we have tons of games on the slate today. 15 games on the slate. We got some high totals in these games, some games that I really do think are still going to fly over these totals. A couple games leaning towards that under, but I want to say a big shout out to each and every one of you. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday, Joe. I do think that one probably blows over the total. I think you're right on that. Greg, we will look at some of these goalies. We'll look at these matchups. So I'm going to make a note that you want Hellebuck for Winnipeg. Hellebuck, Casey DeSmith here. Casey DeSmith, he's questionable. He does let in some goals, but I do think they have a solid game today. And then Edmonton versus Vegas with Skinner there. Skinner is vulnerable as well. Vegas comes out so strong on the road in this matchup. So let's break all these down. So we're going to start with the first one. It kicks off at the top of the hour here, you guys. We got the Detroit Red Wings taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. This game is a total of 6.5, and I do think this is one that could go over that total. Carter Hart expected here for the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, the Flyers have covered the puck line in their last 9 games after coming off overtime, and they're coming off a couple nice wins. They got the big win over the Wild on Thursday in a shootout. They got that 5-4 win. Now, the Red Wings, they lost the last game to the St. Louis Blues. This team is struggling. The St. Louis Blues went down in that game, fought their way back versus the Red Wings. So I do question the Red Wings' ability to close out games, even if they get up in this one. It'd be something I'd be looking at the Flyers to come back and be able to dominate. Now, the Red Wings, 1-4 in their last 5 overall. They're also 2-15 in their last 17 in Philadelphia. I can take a chance on the Flyers at -130 if you guys want to jump on it with me. I just think we're the stronger team in this battle. We don't have 2 fantastic teams here to write home about, you guys. But the Flyers rolling in with momentum, and Detroit is just struggling. So give me the Flyers. Let me know what your thoughts are on this one. Benji, nice to see you here. They lowered it to 6 in this game. Okay, that's really interesting. This one is expected to go under the total by people if they're lowering that to 6. In that case, I think they're just going to – both of these teams, they don't light up the board with goals. I know we saw 5 goals out of the Flyers in their last one, but one where, we look at it and it's kind of like, what teams are we going to get out of both of these? I'm not touching the total. I would lean to the over, and especially if it's hitting at 6. We have seen these teams trend nice and strong to the over. Flyers, last 5 games hitting that over. The Red Wings 6-2 in their last 8 versus teams with losing records to those overs. And the last 11 meetings in Philadelphia, 8 of those have gone over that total. I just think the Flyers have the advantage here. Okay. Let's look at the next game on the board. This one kicks off at 1 o'clock Eastern too. The better of the games at the 1 o'clock Eastern mark with the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Boston Bruins. Now, this is a battle of the Atlantic, and it's going to be a complete battle out there on the ice. This is one where I like to go to overtime. I do think these two really stay competitive in this. Now, Andre Vasilevsky and Linus Ullmark in goal here for these 2 teams. Tampa Bay coming in at a really nice price at +140, but we know how hard it is to beat Boston on their home ice. Boston sitting 29-3-1-2 at home this season, -165 for them here. Now, they have clinched the Atlantic. We know that. The Tampa Bay Lightning sitting 3rd in the Atlantic. Now, the last time these teams played, this was the Lightning's win. They got the 3-2 win in a tight battle. Bruins have Carolina on deck, so this is their first leg of a back-to-back. And the Lightning have played really strong in Boston. You can't deny what they've been able to do in Boston, winning 7 of the last 9 meetings there. But in the last 6 meetings overall, only winning 1 of those. So when the Lightning play Boston, they play better in Boston than they do at home. In this one, I'm not touching a side. I think this one could go to overtime. I do think we have the defenses come out and really show up. If the Lightning want to win this, they're not going to be able to outshoot the Boston Bruins. We know that. We need a strong defensive game out of both sides in this one. I do think this is a really similar game to the one that we saw in the last matchup. 3-2 style game. almost a coin flip here, you guys, though. But with the Bruins, with the Canes on deck, I do lean here to the Lightning. They are the team that's hungrier within this matchup, even though this is Atlantic divisional opponent. I think we can see enough out of the Lightning. Now, look at Braden Point for that anytime point. We have been making money with him. His shots on goal, probably a little bit limited in this one. Boston's doing a really nice job of holding opponents to 29.8. So I'd be looking at those assists or looking at the anytime goal if you like Braden Point here. Now, you've got to remember the Lightning have lost their last 3. So this is a team that has been struggling. The Bruins have won their last 5. They got that win versus Montreal. That was a 4-2 win. They didn't cover that puck line, you guys. Another reason why I'm looking towards this under, the Bruins coming out, playing a really strong defensive game. And the Tampa Bay Lightning, they lost that last game to the Ottawa Senators, 7-2. It was just a complete fall apart of this team. They have the Canes on deck Tuesday, so both teams have the Carolina Hurricanes on deck. But I do think this is one where we see Tampa's defense really locked down. We know the Boston Bruins defense can lock down as well. So give me the under 6 in this matchup. Yeah, Vasu, I'm glad that you were liking that one too. Benji, liking that as well. So it should be a really interesting game here to see how these teams come out. Like 4 of the last 5 meetings have hit that under, and in Boston, the last 4 meetings have hit that under too. I do think we're going to see both defenses be able to limit their opponent's shots on goal. So be careful with those prop shots. The Seattle Kraken taking on the Nashville Predators, 2 o'clock Eastern. We got some time till this one kicks off. Total of 6 in this one. The Kraken coming in at minus 135 plus 115 for the Predators. Saros expected in goal. Now, when we look at this, not divisional opponents, we have the Seattle Kraken coming in here 4th in the Pacific, needing every single win they can get. But the Preds sitting the same way, sitting 5th in the Central. The Kraken have the Wild on deck on Monday. And we just saw the Preds win this matchup. This was just Thursday night. These teams played both of these games in Nashville. My question mark here is for Seattle. If anyone can tell me how much partying they did on a Friday night out in Nashville, I would love to know. I know this team probably had a curfew. I know they probably had to be back at their hotel at a certain time. But Nashville, like Vegas, country on steroids. So I don't know. I don't know if this is a good spot for the Kraken. And yes, they have been solid on the road. They've gone 6-1 in the last 7 road games. The Preds have the Leafs on deck tomorrow. That is at home, though, so they don't have to travel for that one. I just like what we've seen out of the defense of the Predators as of late. They're only allowing that 2.91 goals per game. They are allowing more shots on goal, but Saros is a strong goalie. Now, the Seattle Kraken kind of opposite here. They're really doing a great job of limiting their opponent's ability to get these shots, but their goalies are letting in more shots. Now, Joey Daccord here is expected in goal. We'll see how he comes out, but I do think the Preds can get this win. And you're giving me a home dog at plus 115 when they just got the win on Thursday. And then the Kraken have been in Nashville for a night, 2 nights after that Thursday game. They probably went out Thursday night, but maybe recovering yesterday. So I do think this is one where we can take the home dog. The Preds play strong on a Saturday. I throw those trends out the window, you guys, but I look at them versus the Pacific. They have won 5 of their last 6 versus the Pacific. They come in on that 1 day's rest, which is really strong for this team and not strong for the Kraken. On 1 day's rest for the Preds, they've gone 9-4 in their last 13. When we look at the Kraken on 1 day's rest, they're 0-5 in their last 5 on no day's rest. So we also look at the fact the Preds have won their last 2. The Kraken and unable to break teams' winning streaks as of late, losing their last 6 games versus teams on winning streaks. So 2 games is a winning streak, you guys. I do think we do see another strong defensive game. I'd be really shocked. This is the game, that broke my dream long shot parlay on Thursday. I would be shocked if they got over the 6 goals in this one. I do think this is another game that is defensive. I think if it goes over the total, this is because the Seattle Kraken actually come out and destroy the Preds. So because I'm liking the Predators, I'm relying on their defense, lower scoring game here. Okay, next game on the board, you guys. 15 games to go over today. I tell you, there's so many games on the ice. We're rolling into playoff season. It's a beautiful time of year. The Winnipeg Jets taking on the LA Kings. The freaking LA Kings sitting 2nd in the Pacific, coming off that major win versus Calgary. An 8-2 win. They've had so much rest here, and they are so strong in this position. This is another game where I'm like, why the hell are the Kings only minus 120 favorites? The books keep giving us the Kings at such short prices on the money line that it's been terrifying me. Well, if I only listened to my gut and bet the better team, which is the Kings, I would have won a couple of these games. So I'm kind of kicking myself in a way, staying up the Kings for the full game, because the value just looks too good. They're sitting a second in the Pacific. They're taking on the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets are on the road coming in at plus 100. Connor Hellebuyck expected in goal here. Now, when we look at this, and I know you had questions about Connor Hellebuyck, Greg, we're going to just break him down for a little bit for you here. So taking on the LA Kings, we know the LA Kings can get really hot offensively. That would be my worry with Connor Hellebuyck here as well. Connor Hellebuyck isn't as strong on the road as he is at home. So if Connor Hellebuyck was at home, I would feel a little bit more confident with him in this matchup. But Korpisalo expected in goal here for the LA Kings. When we look at both of these teams, fourth in the Central for the Winnipeg Jets, the underdog has had a strong advantage in these matchups, going 4-1 in the last 5 meetings. But I'm not buying it. We look at the LA Kings. This is their first leg of a back-to-back, but the Blues are on deck tomorrow. This isn't a look-ahead spot where they're going to go, okay, we got to save something for the Blues. I think the Kings are going to come strong offensively and defensively in this one. Give Korpisalo his protection in front of the net. I do think they come out strong in this one. I think they're offensively just way too strong. So that is my concerns, Greg, with Connor Hellebuyck. I think offensively, the Kings could light him up in this one. I just don't trust him enough here on the road. Now, the Kings are 8-2 in their last 10 overall, and we see strong trends to the road team. Not buying it. The Capitals have won their last 2. They got that win over the Ducks. That was a 3-2 win. Again, it was the Ducks. We've got the second best team in the Pacific here with the LA Kings after just destroying Calgary in their last one. They won the last matchup as well, 6-5. So something else, Greg, when you're looking at your fantasy, taking Connor Hellebuyck, we are going to expect those goals to come in. So I would be cautious of him. Now, these two teams trend to the under. There is no way I'm taking this one under with the Kings' ability to get these goals. Let's look at the next matchup here, you guys. Kings money line, definitely not minus 1.5, but the Kings win. Yeah, that's where I'm looking as well. Kings money line. If this one went to overtime, I wouldn't be shocked. These two teams do play tight games, but the goals do come in, so I like that over. The next game on the board, Kings all day. I'm glad you're riding with the Kings with me, Benji. The San Jose Sharks taking on the Calgary Flames. Now, the Sharks coming in at plus 250. Does it shock anyone that the Sharks have won the last 4 meetings in Calgary? It does not shock me because I've been to one of these games seeing Calgary just get dominated by the Sharks. Now, Calgary is a minus 300 favorite again. We keep seeing these high inflated lines for Calgary there. Off that loss to Vegas on Thursday, Vegas beat them 3-2 in a game that, Calgary came out so soft in that first period. That's where I expected them to come out the strongest. Vegas able to get 2 goals in that first period. Calgary just not able to hang tight. They lost to, they got the Kings on deck again, who they had just lost to as well. That is on Tuesday. I tell you, Calgary is in a fall right now, sitting 5th in the Pacific, 8 in the Pacific here for the San Jose Sharks. This team that loves to play freaking upset. The Sharks are a team, you guys. If Calgary gets up by 2 goals magically in that first period, look at the puck line for the San Jose Sharks. You're going to get plus 2.5. You're going to get incredible value on that plus 2.5. And I would bet it because I do think this is a tighter game than the number. Right now, grabbing the Sharks on the puck line, I do think is a solid way. But I think we'll get more value in that first couple minutes if Calgary scores first, and we'll get a better line on that puck line, which I like so much more. Now, looking at a couple of these totals, we got a total of 6.5. If you expect the Sharks to get some goals versus Calgary, which I do, Jacob Markstrom expected in goal. We know he is solid in some of these games. He's been a little wobbly in others. I do think the Sharks score. The over 6 is in play. Now, if you're looking at team totals, if you're only trusting Calgary today, which I wouldn't do, but Calgary's team total over 3.5 is minus 172. If you're looking at the Sharks team total over 2.5, if you think they can get the 3, is minus 104. And I do think this is a game where we can even see the Sharks push Calgary to OT. This is a Sharks team that wants to battle within the Pacific, upset the Pacific, and upset Calgary for sure. Now, they've lost their last 8 games. They lost Thursday to Vancouver, and that was a blowout loss, 7-2. But we saw them force overtime with the Oilers, the Kraken, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. So this game to go to overtime screams value here. And just let me look at what the value was on it, actually. This one is at plus 430 to go to overtime. And I could see it being 3-3 going to overtime. I really could. Calgary, just let some of these ones go. And what did I say the value was? I'm just drawing a blank. Plus 430 to go to OT. And that's something I'm going to bet right after this. Just looking at their ability to get those overtime games, to be able to push their opponents that are much better than them, is phenomenal. So both teams to score in the first period. Another one I like in this one, I do think we have a high scoring battle. So I'm going to be also writing the both teams to score first period. Or you can take the over 1.5. So let's just look at the value on both of those, you guys. Honestly, I don't have my bets in for these later games yet, and this is something I will be doing right after we are done the show. I was just making sure that I got everything ready for you guys before I put my bets in myself. So we got Calgary's total goals. Let's go to first period. First period puck line. I don't want to take that. The over 1.5 in the first period is minus 150. Both teams to score is plus 160. And I do think we can count on the Sharks to score. We saw them score versus Edmonton in that first period. They have been coming out strong. So I do like it. Tampa and Bruins now dropped to 5.5 total. Hit it to the over. I do think we see the goals coming in. I know we have strong defenses, but at 5.5, that game finishes on 6. Man, that game probably, no, I don't know. I like the under too. I'm conflicted with that. I really did like the under 5.5 now at 6. Buy it up to 6 just in case. We got such strong defenses, such strong goaltending. This is one where you'd want one of these goalies. 5.5 is such a hard number, but 3-2 for the Lightning again. Man, if we get that empty netter by the Bruins, oh, it is messed up and we go over that total. We're so close to that number, you guys. I don't know. Maybe that's one we forced to OT. Okay, let's look at the next game on the board. We have the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Minnesota Wild. Now, this is a classic spot where, you know, we've got a huge favorite here with the Minnesota Wild at minus 350 on the money line, total of 5.5. What Wild team is going to show up? Because this Wild team can get the goals out of nowhere. And the Blackhawks really have struggled in Chicago. So they're coming in at plus 290. I do think the Wild come out and dominate in this one. They haven't been notoriously strong at home on that puck line, going 10-26 at home on the puck line. And they normally win these games by 1 goal. But we look at Chicago, they're completely struggling. They've lost their last 3. Thursday's the Capitals beat them 6-1. We trusted in the Capitals on Thursday. I'm going to trust in the Wild here. Let's do first period puck line, you guys. I do think that one comes in minus 0.5 goal for the Wild in the first period. And I do count on them for the full game puck line here. The last time these teams played, the Wild got the 4-1 win, and I could see it happening again. But I do expect a couple more goals out of Chicago. So the 5.5, I'm going to hit it over. I expect 2 goals out of Chicago, 4 goals out of the Wild. The Blackhawks just allowing way too many attempts. They allow 33.9 shots on goal per game. Alex Stalock expected in goal for the Chicago Blackhawks, and I just can't see him being able to stop the powerful force and the waves of offense that's going to come at him from the Minnesota Wild. So this is also the last game of a road trip for the Chicago Blackhawks. It's been a long one as well. They played 5 games on the road, and they've done absolutely terrible in their last 4 games in Minnesota, not being able to win one of the last 4, and they've gone 0-7 in the last 7 meetings versus the Wild. So give me the Wild here, the over 5.5. Give me the Wild on that puck line first period and puck line full game. And neither team's doing well killing penalties. So if the Wild get in the penalty box as well, you guys, Chicago will score and help us with that over. Let's look at the New York Rangers, 5 o'clock Eastern, taking on the Florida Panthers. This game is going to be absolutely incredible. We're going to look at some shot props in this one here. The New York Rangers coming in as the dog at plus 100, the Florida Panthers at minus 120. Total of 6.5. Now, when you're looking at these two teams, I know it sounds really good to take the Rangers when the Rangers are playing an understyle game, but I think we explode with goals in this one. We know how strong the Florida Panthers are. They're averaging that 39.6 shots on goal per game. So we're going to look at Igor Shesterkin's safe shots on goal prop before we move on from this game, because I do think Igor has to come out phenomenal. And even if his numbers at 30, 31 safe shots on goal, I do think we see, again, the Florida Panthers getting all of these shots. Now, I know the New York Rangers are really strong at limiting their opponents, but I think they open up offensively in this game as well. Now, the Rangers have won 4 of the last 5 meetings. I think both teams score in the first period. I absolutely love it. The over 1.5 in the first period, too, although you're going to pay juice on it here. The home team has gone 5-1 in the last 6 meetings, so something to keep an eye of. I do think this is one that can go to overtime, so I will be betting this one to go to OT. The over just so strong. Like, we look at the Rangers, 4 of the last 5 have gone under that total, but these teams play against each other 22 of the last 27 meetings to the over. We've got 1 push in there. The Florida Panthers, 6-1 in the last 7 overall to that over. And now I know this could be one where defenses shows up. We've got strong goaltending between Igor and Bobrovsky, but I do think with this game being in Florida, this one explodes offensively. It's not in the Garden tonight, you guys. Nice way to go with that, Larry. Thanks for throwing that out, everyone. Yeah, over in the Rangers game. Absolutely. Joe, the over. Which game are you going over? Is that the Bruins game, or is that the Wild game you're going to take over there? Both of those totals sitting at 5.5 now. So the last 7 meetings in Florida too. Nicely trend to that over. So both teams to score in the first period. I love here. Let's look at goalie props in this one as well, because I do think we have a nice game of goalie props here. Hang on, just let me open another page on my book. It just takes me a couple of seconds here, guys. Okay, no goalies have been confirmed. What I would like to see, Igor Shesterkin, if you can get him over 31.5 safe shots on goal, I don't think it's too many. Anything 31.5 safe shots on goal or under, definitely hit on Igor Shesterkin to the over. I think he comes out and has a really solid game. Now, looking at Bobrovsky, one thing to consider, we don't have the New York Rangers getting as many shots. Yes, they're connecting, but they just don't get as many shots as the Florida Panthers. So that's why I'm looking at the goalie prop for Igor Shesterkin. But if you're looking at the Florida Panthers overall, you know Matthew Tkachuk has been absolutely phenomenal out there. So looking at him for his shots on goal, let's look at some goal scorers though. Matthew Tkachuk for the anytime goal at +105 and Sam Reinhart at +180. Chris Kreider plus 195 is another really strong way to go with this one. Looking at some points here, Adam Fox has been playing outstanding. His points over 0.5 though is -142, so a little juiced here. Vladimir Tarasenko, you know I love Vladimir Tarasenko for a point for the Rangers. He's coming in at 0.5 at +100. So Patrick Kane coming in at 0.5. Again, for the Rangers, -146. So I do think there's a lot of opportunities to hit some player props in this game. I do think it's a player prop game, so something to make note of. Gary, we'll be getting to that in a couple of minutes here. We're just working our way down the card, so stay tuned. We'll get to it. The next game on the board, we have the Buffalo Sabres taking on the New York Islanders. Anderson expected in here for the Sabres, +140 for the Sabres team, who, you guys, I really thought the Devils would get the first period win yesterday. I should have listened to my gut. I didn't want to put any more money on the Sabres. I told you guys they were dead to me. Something didn't sit right with that game with the Devils. Now, the Buffalo Sabres got the win. It was a 5-4 win. High-scoring game. They won it fast, too. They came out just so explosive. Tag Thompson is day-to-day, so not sure if we'll see him play today. This is a one-off road game for the Buffalo Sabres. Now, can they repeat what we saw last night and coming out so strong? I'm not sure. We have the New York Islanders coming off a loss last night to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and when I was so thankful we grabbed the Columbus Blue Jackets +1.5. I just, again, didn't feel right about the Islanders last night. This team is inconsistent. Now we got them at home. We got a total of 6.5. I do expect goals to still come in with both these teams on the back-to-back. I do think we see defenses letting the goals in. Now, who do we have in goal? Anderson in goal, and no confirmations yet for the Islanders. So I'll just check that in a minute, but Varlamov, I believe, will be in goal. The last time these teams played in March, it was just a couple of, what was it, like a week ago. 3-2 win for the New York Islanders. The Sabres have played really strong versus the Islanders, and the Islanders just so inconsistent. I don't want to put my money on either of these teams, you guys. I keep going round in my head and trying to give you guys the best play in this one, but I think if it's anything, it's not a side, it's the over 6.5. I just see tired defenses, two teams that I cannot trust on either. And I know we've seen the Sabres in some games be like, they're not even getting these shots on goal. Notoriously a strong scoring team. They really shot themselves in the foot lately. So give me the over 6.5. In the last 11 meetings, 7 have gone over, 1 has pushed, and the Islanders 6-1 in the last 7 to that over. So in the Sabres, 15-5-1 in the last 21 meetings to the over. You always have to take the Coyotes. Absolutely. The Coyotes, they almost had that one, and I was so disappointed, Benji, watching that because they had it tied up for so long. And as soon as the Avs scored that second goal, you knew that third one was coming, and it was done. But I had the plus 2.5, and I had the Avs sprinkled on the money line, and I really thought they were going to hit it for us there. Early game in Boston in regulation. They hate Tampa Bay from 2020. These teams do. They hold grudges. You can move a player, but you can't take that grudge out of the locker room. That is for sure. Yeah, and this really, it's frustrating, the same game parlays, when they're not allowing these to hit on the books. They just won't let you play it. So a lot of the books up here in Canada, you can't even do a same game parlay, let alone two things within it, a prop and something else. You can't even take a side in total. Saturday morning coffee, you guys. I hope you have yours. There's a lot of games to go over. We're still working our way down. We're going to get to those Vancouver Canucks, Gary, and the Stars game. Man, this is going to be an interesting one. Vancouver has been rolling so hot, you guys. And I think the Vancouver Canucks are barking. It's weird for me to say here. I've never been a huge Canucks fan, but I think they can pull it off. We got Demko expected in goal. Ottinger here for the Dallas Stars. Well, look at Dallas. They're sitting pretty cozy, a second in the Central here. Yes, they want this win. Jake Ottinger expected in goal for them. They won that last game on Thursday versus the Penguins. They got the 3-2 win. This is their last home game before hitting the road. But you look at their road games. They have really easy one. They have the Blackhawks and then the Coyotes before they face the Colorado Avalanche. So they're in a set of 3 pretty easy games where everyone expects them to win. I think this is a nice spot to go against the Dallas Stars. And I don't love to go against the Dallas Stars. We know how phenomenally strong they are. But when we look at these two teams, how they've been playing as of late, Vancouver actually has been playing the better defense of these two, which is crazy. It's crazy to say because Vancouver is allowing an average of 3.69. But since Demko has come back, we've seen this team actually playing better. We know the coaching changes has made things better, and Vancouver can score with the best of them here. We've seen the Vancouver Canucks win 5 of the last 6 meetings in Dallas, the underdog win 4 of the last 5 meetings. They just beat them March 14th, 5-2. A lot of people looking at sudden revenge. I don't see it. The Stars have not been playing good at home. They've only won 3 of their last 7 home games. So in this one, I'm going to play it a little safe. I'm going to take the Vancouver Canucks plus 1.5 on that puck line at minus 150, but I'm also going to sprinkle on that money line. Now, the Canucks have the Blackhawks on deck tomorrow. Not a look-ahead spot for them. They don't care. They want to beat the Dallas Stars tonight, so we're going to get their best effort in this game tonight. And we also look at the Canucks. They love to play upset as well. They've been really strong against teams with winning records, really stepping up to play these teams with winning records, and they're losing the games people expect them to win. So this is one where I'd look at the Blackhawks to be Vancouver tomorrow, but Vancouver to beat the Stars tonight. And I know the logic behind that is like, what the heck? How can they come out and beat the Stars and then the Blackhawks beat them? It's just because this is the team that they want to get the win over. They're 8-2 in the last 10 overall. I just don't trust the Sharks right now. But because I look at the Vancouver Canucks, they are playing the better defense. The Stars are getting the goals and the Vancouver Canucks are getting the goals. I cannot take an under in this game. I think the over 6.5 definitely is in play. 4-3 style game. Again, tight one here. We're going to need a little bit of puck luck for Vancouver to get the win, but if they dig deep, they can get the win. So take them on the puck line plus 1.5. Sprinkle on that money line, and the over 6.5. I definitely think is a strong way to go. The over's hit in 6 of the last 7 meetings. Robertson, anytime goal with a sprinkle, I think. Yeah, Robertson, he has been getting the goals most definitely for them. The dogs barked last night. Hammered Yotes. Yeah. Sorry, I read that already. Having one of those mornings. Okay. The Columbus Blue Jackets and the Montreal Canadiens. Who's excited for this one? Man, let's check those goalies again. Elvis. I was seeing Elvis expected in goal. Could be Binghamton. Let's just have a look here. If it's Binghamton, he's going to come out really strong. Binghamton's on the bubble. I think he's gone. I think he's gone no matter what from Columbus. He's too much of a hothead, and he's just making stupid mistakes, like attacking players after they score a goal on him. Binghamton is he's a head case right now, you guys, and he's frustrated. His ego is bigger than his abilities right now. He was a stronger goalie before, so. My thoughts on Binghamton right now. I'm still seeing Elvis as unconfirmed here. Sam Montague, that is actually the best news that I have got. It was Jake Allen expected. Now Sam Montague is likely for the Montreal Canadiens. If it's Sam Montague versus Elvis, I think you got to take Montreal at home in this one. But if it is Binghamton versus Sam Montague, we have a complete battle here, because I do think Binghamton, after being benched, after being suspended for those couple games, comes out and has a really strong night if he gets in goal. So it all depends on who comes out in this game. The last time the Blues won that one, 3-1. I just can't take sorry, not the Blues, the Columbus Blue Jackets. I just can't take the Columbus Blue Jackets here if it's Elvis. It's a fade of one goalie. Now, Columbus, they got that win versus Red Wings. That was a 4-3 win on Thursday, and they came back in that one. So we have seen some good things out of them. Montreal, it's Montreal. The Blue Jackets, I don't know. You guys, it all depends on Elvis. I could break this down 100 ways. Wait for the goalie matchup. Whoever's confirmed. If it's Binghamton, I don't have as much faith in Montreal. If it is, because the Blue Jackets have played really strong versus Montreal. If it's Elvis, it's Montreal for me. If it's not Elvis, it's Binghamton. It's a stay-off game. Let's move on to the next one, you guys. I promise we're going to get to Casey DeSmith and Skinner. We're just moving down the card, Gary. So stick around. We'll talk about those ones. Both teams to score that first period, Columbus Blue Jackets and Montreal. Kelly, you know what? I think it's probably a strong play. I do think it probably goes over. But again, I'm waiting for if Binghamton's confirmed. If Binghamton is confirmed, I think it's kind of like a wake-up game for him where he's like, holy crap, I'm probably going to lose my contract here. Who's going to pick me up, right? Like, I don't think Binghamton's in St. Louis next year. So he's got very limited games left, limited time on the ice to show what he's made of. Sam Montague, I love and go for Montreal. I think he's a solid goalie. This is actually one, if we got Binghamton and Sam Montague, I might look at this one to stay under. And I know that's crazy because we know how bad defenses are on both sides, but I do have faith in Sam Montague. And Jordan Binghamton, he has to come out strong. Okay, the Ottawa Senators and the New Jersey Devils. Sogard expected here for the Senators. The Devils, Vanacek expected. Now the Devils kind of not having a good time right now. They've lost their last 2 games. Last night was to the Sabres in a game I just felt uneasy, and they let the Sabres get up really quick on them. Now they kept fighting in that one. I look at who they have on deck, and I'm really concerned about them again in this game. They have the Islanders on deck on Monday, and then they have the Rangers on deck after that. Both of these teams are within their division in the Metro. The Rangers sitting right there in third, and the Islanders fifth, or they moved up to fourth. But we got a battle here in the Metro. The Devils sitting second. I do think they have the opportunity to get this win, but will they with the look ahead position? I just don't have lots of faith in them. They're coming in at -195 on that money line. The Senators +1.5 on that puck line at -145, I think is the strong way to go with this game. Now they're 2-6 in their last 8 overall, so they're not coming in here phenomenally, but they are rolling in with some momentum over the Lightning, getting that 7-2 win in a game we really did see them score. So I would look at this one. With the Devils on the back-to-back, I'd look at it to go over the total of 6.5, because I do think tired legs here for the New Jersey Devils. They've been giving up the goals too. So the last time these teams played, it was a 5-1 style game for the Devils to get the win. But I do think this is one where we can see more goals out of the Senators. That being said, I do think the +1.5 is a nice one. Binghamton needs to leave his crazy in the locker room. Absolutely. His players just, I tell you, they must be so frustrated. I would love to see Fleury get a piece of Binghamton. Okay. Thanks, Richard. Appreciate that. Let's move on to the next game here. We have the Toronto Maple Leafs coming out, taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, Frederik Andersen expected here for the Carolina Hurricanes, Matt Murray for the Toronto Maple Leafs. When we look at the Leafs here, they're coming in as a dog at +125. We've been getting some nice value on the Leafs in their last couple of games. It's actually been surprising, but they got the win over the Panthers on Thursday, 6-2. Nice big win. Matt Murray, a little bit questionable here. Frederik Andersen, definitely the stronger goalie in this matchup, and the stronger team offensively and defensively. I really love what Carolina is able to do with limiting their opponent's ability to get these shots on goal, holding them to 25.8. But that being said, we do see the Toronto Maple Leafs strong at limiting the opponents as well, holding them to under 30 as well, 29.4. We got the Canes off that loss to the New York Rangers 2-1 on Thursday. The Bruins are on deck tomorrow. So this is the first leg of a back-to-back for them. But back-to-back for the Leafs, too. They have the Preds on deck tomorrow. So it's going to be really interesting to see what we get out of these teams. The Leafs have won the last 4 meetings, and we're getting them at +125. It gives me a little bit of, I want to take the Leafs here. I just don't know if they're going to be able to get past the Canes. The Canes at home, 24-9-1 at home this season. The home team has gone 4-1 in the last 5 meetings between these two as well. So looking at this game, I'm going to take it to go to OT, you guys. I do think we can see an overtime game here play out. At the 6, I'm not sure I could hit it under. I do think this one, at worst, pushes at the 6 or is a 4-3 style game. The only thing, if it doesn't go to overtime, I doubt we get to that number of 6, because I really do think it, or it could be that empty netter. It could be a 4-2, but I think it's a 3-3 going into OT. We look at the Leafs, their last 4 games have gone over, and the Canes 13-6-1, last 20 playing on Wednesday's rest to that over. So in this one, with both teams on a first leg of a back-to-back, I'm going to roll with the over 6. I'm going to take this one to OT as well. Let me just see what the value you guys are getting on OT. And I almost want to take the Leafs here. I'm not sure if I'll get there with the Leafs, but I do think it's going to be a super tight game, and I can't pass up on that value. It's +360 for this one to go to overtime. Okay, Kev thinking the draw as well. Canes are going to have their defense tested tomorrow. They absolutely are. It's going to be a complete battle versus the Bruins tomorrow. It's going to be incredible to see. Let's look at the next game on the board, you guys. Trying to move a little bit faster for you guys today. The Washington Capitals taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Gary, I know you were asking about Casey DeSmith here, and I think this is actually the goalie that I would play. I would be a little cautious with it though. But out of your three that you have today, I think he has the best chance of having a solid game with Casey DeSmith versus Kemper of the Washington Capitals. The Capitals coming in here. They won their last game versus Blackhawks 6-1, but I'm not expecting them to replicate that kind of dominance in this game. This is a team that can't win back-to-back games. They absolutely have been struggling. And the Penguins, well, they don't have the strongest defense, and they've been struggling as well, only winning one of their last 6 games overall. I do think home ice advantage for this team. I think we have a stronger day out of Casey DeSmith than we do out of Kemper. The Capitals have failed to cover that puck line in each of the last 10 night games following a win, and they're only 2-12 in their last 14 games following a win. Now, the road team has dominated in this matchup, but we saw the last game back in January, tight game, 3-2 style one. I do think this is another one that could have the possibility of going to overtime. We've got a battle of the Metro here. I trust more in the Penguins on home ice in this one, though. The Penguins have been trending to that under, but I think the Caps will push it a little bit to that over. So, Gary, if you're looking for one of those 3 goalies that you're liking, I do think this one is Casey DeSmith. We need him to have a solid day. Let's just look to see his save shots on goal number coming out here for you. So Casey DeSmith is coming out 27.5 save shots on goal at -118 for this game. Now, when we look at the Washington Capitals, they are averaging 31.5 shots on goal, and the Pittsburgh Penguins are allowing 33.1. I do think Casey DeSmith goes over 27.5, and that is -118. So you are paying some juice on Casey DeSmith, but I think that is a nice bet to take here, you guys. I think he has to come out really strong in this one. Yeah, I do think, Kelly, it is an over game as well. I think it's one that could go to OT as well. So Kemper is a solid goalie. He hasn't been confirmed in. I do think we see a little bit of movement once he is confirmed on this line as people jump on the Capitals, but I just don't see them coming out. There is a deer walking down the sidewalk right outside of my house. It's just having a merry little day. Oh, and there's 3 more behind it. So sorry, just got distracted there a little bit, you guys. The Bruins and the Lightning tied 1 apiece. Is that in the first period, Joe? We must still be in the first period right now. Okay, let's look at the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Another goalie you're looking at here, Gary Skinner, coming out for Edmonton now. Jonathan Quick expected for the Vegas Golden Knights, -180 here for the Edmonton Oilers, +155 for the Vegas Golden Knights, total 6.5. It's really tempting to expect Edmonton to keep rolling hot, but these teams play again Tuesday in Vegas. We see such a huge advantage for the road team in this matchup, which is really interesting. 5-2 in their last 7 meetings. Now, Vegas just coming off that big win over Calgary. And yes, it is a hard spot to take both of these teams and go back and forth from Edmonton to Calgary and get these double wins. But we have seen teams do it. And I do think this is a prime opportunity to grab Vegas at +155 to get the win, expecting Edmonton to win the next matchup. I want to really see who ends up coming out in goal here for the Vegas Golden Knights. It is expected for Jonathan Quick. Now, he has been a little vulnerable. Stuart Skinner, vulnerable as well. Edmonton, the #1 scoring team in the league, averaging 3.93 goals per game. We see Vegas coming in 3.25. Both these teams able to get the shots on goal. Edmonton does have the advantage of shots on goal as well. When we look at the advantages for Vegas, Vegas has a stronger defense. They've been limiting opponents' ability to get these shots on goal to 31.1 and 2.76 goals per game. I do think Quick plays Edmonton strong enough in this game for me to take a chance on the Vegas Golden Knights. They've only won 1 of the last 5 meetings versus Edmonton, though. And I know you guys, Edmonton just playing so phenomenally strong. I think we still have to hit that over, even though these 2 teams trend to the under when they play. We saw Vegas and Calgary stay under that number. I just don't believe it in this one. Edmonton's just not going to give up. They are looking to win the Pacific. This Pacific division is still wide open. Edmonton sitting third in the Pacific right now, and the Vegas Golden Knights sitting first. So I do think this battles. I could see overtime 3-3 going to OT. I'm not sure if I'll take this one to overtime though, but I could see it and I wouldn't be shocked at all. But these teams trending so nicely to that over, and Edmonton coming in on a couple's days rest here. They're winning rate at home. Last 6 at home, last 5 overall. They've just been rolling so phenomenally hot. But Vegas rolling hot as well, you guys. This is their game of the road trip. They've won those last 2. They've won their last 3 overall. We got a fantastic game. I'm going to take the plus money. If Edmonton was coming in with the plus money, I'd probably jump on them. I think that's how tight this game is. I don't think it's a blowout by either side, and I'll be really shocked if we do see that happen. Let me know what you guys are liking. Connor McDavid for the anytime goal. Absolutely. Yeah, he is playing so much better. Now he's with Vegas. He's getting that support from his team. He wasn't getting the support in LA. The Knights just defensively not giving him that support, and Vegas does a very good job of that. We've seen even like with Darcy Kemper when he was with the Abs playing so much better than he is this season with the Capitals, just because that lack of support. The next game on board. Yeah, Greg, I was saying if Elvis is in goal for the Columbus Blue Jackets, I cannot trust this team. Elvis is a goalie that I cannot back and bet on. So if it's Sam Montribute in goal for Montreal, I do like Sam Montribute here for the Montreal Canadiens. I just don't trust Elvis. If it's Jordan Binnington coming out, I do think this should be a really interesting game. Sorry, Jordan Binnington's with the Blues. He's not with the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's where my brain was going wrong. Let me just look at that. Columbus Blue Jackets. Let me just see who their goalie is. Yeah, Elvis is still unconfirmed. Sam Montribute is coming in for the Montreal Canadiens. The St. Louis Blues, Joel Hofer. If it is Jordan Binnington, that's the Ducks game I'm thinking about. The Blues and the Blue Jackets, I start talking them and I start rattling off that wrong goalie there. Let's jump into the next game. We're going to look at, well, we did the Vegas Golden Knights, the last one. This is it here. We have the St. Louis Blues. And we have the Anaheim Ducks in this one. This should be a really interesting game here. Joel Hofer expected or Jordan Binnington. So that is where I'm looking at. If Jordan Binnington comes out, I think the Blues could get this win versus the Ducks. Now the Anaheim Ducks, John Gibson expected, they're plus 135 here at home in this one. This is not a game that I'm absolutely excited to look at. Total of 6.5 in this one. We've got 7th in the Pacific for the Anaheim Ducks, and we know they've lost their last 3. This team is struggling. The last game was on Thursday. They got a 3-2 loss versus the Jets. The Avs are on deck on Monday. Now, the St. Louis Blues won that last game over the Red Wings, and they actually played really solid. They dug back in that game, and they made a battle of it. Now, this is the first leg of a back-to-back for the St. Louis Blues. Here they have the Kings on deck tomorrow. The road team has been strong, and the Blues at minus 155. Not a lot of value here, but I do think this is one where you can look at the Blues to come out strong in this one. They've been strong on the road, actually. They're 5-1 in their last 6 games playing on 1 day's rest. 2-5 in their last 7 versus the Pacific, though. So a little bit of concern here. But it's Anaheim Ducks. They're coming in with 1 day's rest. Not a strong record at home. They've gone 12-20-3 at home this season, 17-17 for the St. Louis Blues. I think the Blues have the opportunity. This total, I'm not going to even look at. We got a total of 6.5. If Binnington is in goal for the St. Louis Blues, I would be looking at the Ducks team total to stay to the under. Like I said, Binnington will not be in St. Louis much longer. I think this is the end of his season. So he needs to come out really strong. He needs to prove himself here. But do I want to take the St. Louis Blues with or without him? With Joel Hofer here, possible for the St. Louis Blues. instead of Binghamton. I don't want to lay minus 155 on this team. I just don't see the value. So this is a game not looking forward to, you guys. It's going to be an interesting one. Both teams to score. Yeah, I do think that's probably a solid way to go, Kelly. I love those both teams to score in the first period props. You guys know that. They've been cashing like crazy, so much better than taking the over 1.5 because you're getting the value. And if you think both of these defenses are going to come out weak, both goaltendings coming out weak, then I do think if it's Hoffer and not Binghamton, you take both teams to score. If it's Binghamton, you know, Binghamton's so up and down, and that's why he's emotionally losing it, I think, on the ice, because he used to be a really good goalie and now just not at that caliber. Also not getting very much support from his team. We know the Blues have sold off everyone as well. Okay, let's recap these games super fast, you guys. Build a parlay. I want to thank everyone who stuck around with me for the last 50 minutes on your beautiful Saturday here. Tons of games to go over. I'm on Sports Grid tonight from 8 p.m. Eastern to midnight. So make sure you come on over. There'll still be some action on the ice, making some money in that, and lots of action in the NBA. So if you're wanting my NBA bets, you better head on over to Sports Grid tonight. It's definitely smarter to be on the grid, you guys. The Detroit Red Wings and the Philadelphia Flyers. This game is in action. What's the score in this one, you guys? I don't have my scores up right now. Hang on. Go back on my book. Okay, so this one is still scoreless. This is really interesting. The Detroit Red Wings and the Philadelphia Flyers still sitting scoreless in this one. We've had this total drop to 4.5 going into the second period here. I had originally thought it would go over 6.5. So if you haven't bet this one, you want to live bet this one, hitting it over 4.5 is minus 102. If anyone has those shots on goal, let me know. I'm just trying to see if my book actually brings up shots on goal. I don't think they do. Yeah, I can't see how many shots on goal have hit. So if someone wants to drop that in there, I would love to see it. But I do expect that one to go over 4.5. We can expect these goalies to allow some to come in both of these teams to score those goals. If you like it to the under, it's minus 122. You can jump on the Philadelphia Flyers, who I do think get the win at minus 132. We look at the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Boston Bruins, 1-1 with 1 minute going into left in the first period, going into the second. You can get total 6.5 minus 115 to the over, 6.5 minus 111 to the under. I do think it stays under that 6.5. Both teams to score in that first period. Whoever threw that out, congratulations. Okay. The Seattle Kraken and the Nashville Predators. This one kicks off at the top of the hour. So you got 20 minutes to get this one in. I do expect this one to be a game where the Predators can win again. They just beat Seattle. Seattle's been hanging out in Nashville. I do think this one stays under the total again. If they go over in this one, it's going to really piss me off because I needed that first game to go over. But I do think this goes under. I'm going to take the Preds on the money line for the parlay. If you want to take them plus 1.5 in the parlay, I don't blame you either. The Winnipeg Jets and the LA Kings, total 6. Kings coming in at minus 120. Short price for the Kings at home. I do think they get the wins. I'm going to throw the Kings on the money line into the parlay. When I'm looking at this one, it trends under, but I can't take it under because I do think this is a game where both, the LA Kings really open up offensively. Connor Hellebuyck isn't as good on the road as he is at home. Even though I do have some faith in him, I don't have enough faith that he can keep this one under the total. The San Jose Sharks and the Calgary Flames. This one, I think, both teams to score in the first period between the Sharks and the Calgary Flames. Great way to go. Over 1.5 in the first period. Could see this one going to overtime. To go to overtime here for Calgary and the Sharks is plus 430, and that's one of my favorite bets of the day. I'm going to get it in as soon as we get off this, you guys, at plus 430. We love the opportunity. We know the Sharks have been pushing games to OT. And Calgary, even if they get up, they let these games go. And the Sharks are a prime team. Once they're down, to take them on that puck line because you're getting an extended puck line plus 2.5 and a lot of opportunities at plus money. So always keep an eye on the Sharks if you're live betting. The over 6.5, I think, is in play in this game as well. So for the parlay, give me the Sharks here. Or actually, just give me the Sharks and the Flames first period over 1.5. because I do think that is a strong play in this one. The Chicago Blackhawks and the Minnesota Wild. I'm just going to take the Wild here, you guys, in regulation. I don't see the Chicago Blackhawks getting the win. I do like the Wild on the money line, on the puck line in the first period, minus that half a goal. I like them in the puck line for the full game as well. I think they just dominate. Chicago is ready to go home. This is the last game of a 5-game road trip. It's been a long road trip for them. At 5.5, I have to go over. Neither of these teams been really strong at killing those penalties. The New York Rangers and the Florida Panthers, another game, has the opportunity to go to overtime. I do think this is a really strong opportunity as well. Both teams to score in that first period. I love between the Rangers and the Florida Panthers, the over 1.5 in the first period as well. And I have to ride the over 6.5. I know the Rangers have had a solid ability to keep these games under. They've got a strong defense, but I do think this one goes over. Florida just so strong. Look at Igor Shesterkin's save shots on goal if he's confirmed. To go to the over. 31.5 is my magical number. I wouldn't want to hit 32.5, but it's possible. I expect the Florida Panthers 40, 41, 42, 43 even shots on goal isn't out of range for this team. They have that ability. They have the firing of power. And with Matthew Tkachuk on this team, we got to look at him for that anytime goal. Vladimir Tarasenko here for the New York Rangers, I think absolutely beautiful as well. Chris Kreider, Adam Fox, we've got so much value. Prop bet this one. Look at those shots on goal out of the Florida Panthers. If you're looking at the Rangers, points, or look at their anytime goals, because they don't get as many goals, or not as many goals, as many shots on goals, or as the Florida Panthers. So I do think when I look at these games, when I'm prop betting, I always look at the team who gets the better opportunity for those shots, for their shots on goal, if they're against a defense that allows right around that 30. And the Rangers coming in at that 29.4. So I do think there's the ability. For the parlay here, I will take the over 1.5 in the first period, the Rangers and the Panthers. And I know we've seen some games tight in that first period, but I do think this is one where we can count on those both teams to score. The Buffalo Sabres and the New York Islanders, I can't trust either of these teams to save my life. The Sabres just being completely letting us down, getting the win over the Devils though last night, and the Islanders inconsistent, losing to the Columbus Blue Jackets last night. This one, I'm going to take the Sabres and the Islanders in the parlay over 6.5. I do think we have a higher scoring one. I'm not sure how high scoring it is in the first period. Feel more confident in the full total. The Vancouver Canucks and the Dallas Stars, I think we have upset written all over this for the Vancouver Canucks. For the parlay, I'm going to take them plus 1.5 on that puck line at minus 150. Straight up bet, I'm going to sprinkle here on the Vancouver Canucks at plus 165. I think they can come out strong in this one. Vancouver is playing better defensively, but that being said, I do think this is a higher scoring one. We know the Dallas Stars have been opening up and really scoring these goals offensively as well. And Vancouver can score with the best of them and really strong against teams with winning records. So I got to take Vancouver puck line. I do sprinkle on that money line for the full game though. The Columbus Blue Jackets and the Montreal Canadiens. Sam Montembeault is expected here now for the Montreal Canadiens over Jake Allen, which I do like. If Elvis is in goal for the Columbus Blue Jackets, you guys know I have to absolutely fade Elvis in goal for Columbus and rely on Montreal to get the win with Sam Montembeault. He is the better goalie for this team, and he absolutely can stand on his head. Now, the Columbus Blue Jackets have the Kings on deck tomorrow. They have played strong versus Montreal, but Elvis in goal, you just can't trust him. I'm leaving this game out of the parlay, you guys. The Ottawa Senators and the New Jersey Devils. I think the Sens, you got to grab them plus the 1.5 on the puck line. I look at the look-ahead spot. 2 Metro divisional opponents on deck for the New Jersey Devils. This team has lost their last 2 games. They lost to the Sabres team they were hungry. Sabres came out and actually played last night. We hadn't seen that out of them in their last couple. It's like they heard me say, get to the golf course already. Like, you guys are just done. So they came out. They played a strong one. The Devils just let it go. I do think with them on the back-to-back tonight, we see the goals coming in for the Ottawa Senators. We know how strong the defense is here, the New Jersey Devils, but I do think they let this one go. They let the Sabres get 5 goals on them last night. I do think the Sens keep it tight. So give me the Senators plus 1.5, the over 6.5 as well. The Toronto Maple Leafs and the Carolina Hurricanes. You guys, I think this one has overtime written all over it. I'm not going to take a side in this one, although I do lean to the Leafs with that plus money. I just can't pass up on it at plus 125. I think it's worth a sprinkle, but I think this is a puck luck game. I do think overtime. Who do I trust more, Frederik Andersen or Matt Murray? With me wanting it to go to overtime, that's where my hesitancy comes in taking the Leafs, because even though the Leafs are really strong in Carolina, I don't trust Matt Murray as much as I trust Frederik Andersen. So going into OT, I trust Frederik Andersen to get the win. But we know Matt Murray could do it as well. So give me the overtime. I have to look at the under. No, I have to look at the over. I want to take the under. There's so many games I want to take the under. I just can't get there. We look at the firing ability of both of these teams offensively. And so I'm going to stay off that total, but give me this one to go to overtime. I'm going to leave it out of the parlay, though. I just don't feel confident enough in one of the sides. The Western Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins. I do think the Penguins get the win in this one. I think Casey DeSmith comes out strong. Casey DeSmith save shots on goal over 27.5. I will be betting to at minus 118. I do think he can have a solid day here on home ice. They lost their last game to the Stars, and I think they come out with a little bit of, I don't know, what's the word? Oops, not oops, oof. I don't know what the word is, but give me the Penguins minus 145 over the Caps. I just can't trust the Caps off a win to get another win. They got that win over the Blackhawks. I do think this one has a possibility to go to overtime, and I do think the over 6.5 is in play. So actually, let's take the Penguins and the Caps over 6.5 for this game in the parlay instead of the Penguins here on the money line. The Vegas Golden Knights and the Edmonton Oilers. You guys, I think you got to jump on Vegas with that plus money at plus 155. I do think both teams to score in the first period. Beautiful play in this one. We got Jonathan Quick and Stuart Skinner. We know if these goalies are going to get hit, they get hit early. This game highly trends to that over when these teams play. These teams are over teams, especially as of late. Edmonton going 5-1-1 in the last 7, playing on Tuesdays. Rest to the over. The Vegas Golden Knights, 5 of their last 6 going over. When they play each other, though, we get those under games. We saw it with Vegas in that last one versus Calgary. But I do think we see this one, Connor McDavid's so solid. He's been playing phenomenal at home. I would look to the over here, and that's why I'm kind of hesitant on anyone taking Skinner for fantasy, because unless he has a killer night, I do think we see the goals coming in, and I think we see Vegas on top with this one. So give me Vegas plus 1.5. Vegas plus 1.5 for the parlay. Puck line plus 1.5. You're still getting actually a decent value on that, which is interesting. The St. Louis Blues and the Anaheim Ducks. You guys, I'm leaving this one out. I hate this matchup here. John Gibson expected for the Ducks, Joel Hofer or Jordan Binnington expected here for the St. Louis Blues. We'll see who we get if Jordan Binnington comes out. I do think the Blues get the win, but at minus 155. I don't want to throw my money on them. So to recap that long shot dream parlay, you guys, we have the Preds on the money line, the Kings on the money line, the Sharks and the Flames over 1.5 in the first period, the Wild in regulation, the Rangers and Panthers first period over 1.5, the Sabres and Islanders over 6.5, Vancouver plus 1.5 on the puck line, the Sens plus 1.5 on the puck line, the Capitals and the Penguins over 6.5, and Vegas on the puck line plus 1.5. When I'm looking at best bets, I love that plus money with Vegas today at plus 155. I think they have every opportunity. I like that one to go to overtime too. I love Carolina and Toronto to go to overtime. I think that one is screaming absolute value there. I do also like Vancouver today, straight up on the money line at plus 165, you guys. Van plus 165. How can we say no to that? They've been playing the better defense to get the upset over the Stars. That puck line plus 1.5, I do think is really solid as well. I do think the Panthers and the Rangers, both teams to score in the first period, absolutely solid today. I think those teams come out so phenomenally strong to start that game. And the Wild to absolutely dominate over the Chicago Blackhawks. If you like another dog, the Sharks. They could pull off the upset. They've won the last 4 in Calgary. I don't know if I'm going to go against my Calgary Flames here, but I would not be shocked. Both teams to score in that first period, I think, is another really strong play today. This one to go to overtime plus 430, I absolutely love as well. So you guys, that's what I'm liking. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here today. You did a same game parlay for the wild money line and the under 7.5. Benji, I think that is really solid. The Sens have been playing everybody tight lately. Yeah, they absolutely have. So grabbing them plus that 1.5, you're going to pay some juice, but I do like it. Yeah, wild in regulation. Don't hit it straight up there. Confident that over 6.5. You guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. Just trying to look at your comments. Yeah, Kings have been so solid. And that's my question mark, you guys, here. I have a hard time with the lines we're getting on the Kings. And this is what scares me, because I look at some of these games and it's like, why? Minus 120 only for the Kings? This team's sitting second in the Pacific. Why are the books not making the bigger favorites against lesser teams? It just is not for me. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here. I'm going to go drink some more coffee. I've got some basketball to go over. I will have a basketball cup of Joe coming out. We got March Madness tonight. Phenomenal games. So you guys enjoy it. Have fun. Keep smiling. Let's make some freaking money today. Baseball Thursday, Joe. I know. It's so exciting. I can hardly wait. I can't wait to watch my Blue Jays in action in the regular season. We have an exciting time. Kevin, it's always like Vegas knows something that we don't, but you look at the Knights on the money line the last couple games, they got the blowout win over Calgary. They were like, I don't know. It's super frustrating, but you guys, I better run. I hope you have a great day. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for being here, our Leafs. You guys are the best. Have a great Saturday. Stay safe. Bye, guys.